Well, tonight, multiple Arkansas sheriff's offices are pushing back against a new gun policy from the ATF.
And this new federal rule says those who use an attachment called a brace stabilizer will now have to register their weapon with the government. TV 11 Sarah Habakowitz explains the debate about what's legal and what might not be legal.
The debate surrounds this brace that you can add on to a firearm. Now the ATF is putting out new regulations saying if you add this onto a gun, you're going to have to register it with the government. Gun control groups support it, but not everyone agrees with the policy.
A lot of, otherwise legal gun owners now felt that they could be arrested and potentially charged and convicted of a felony.
That's why Stone County Sheriff Brandon Long and the Cleburne County Sheriff's Office shared online this week that their offices would not assist the federal government in enforcing this policy.
My agency is not going to be housing citizens or making any arrests in reference to non-compliance of this act.
But is that legal? I asked law professor Robert Steinbuck with UA Little Rock.
Well, in fact, it's not their job to enforce a federal rule. They are involved in state law, and depending where, not even all of the state law.
Also, enforcing the new policy could actually go against Arkansas law that restricts federal regulation on firearms in the state.
Whether the part that applies to state employees is legal, I think it is. But there's an argument actually that you can't even prohibit that.
But federal offices can still enforce the brace restriction. The ATF telling THV11 in part that they are the lead federal law enforcement agency responsible for enforcing the National Firearms Act and will continue to work with local, state, and federal partners to combat violent crime in our communities. Lindsay Nichols with Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence says this attachment has been used in mass shootings, telling us last month in support of the rule.
Registration means that the people who own these guns go through a very thorough background check, and they know they will be held accountable if these guns are used in crime.
Unofficial federal estimates show between 3 and 40 million brace stabilizers will have to be registered within 120 days of this rule going into effect.
But it's all up to interpretation as this rule comes into play.
As is all law.
Reporting in Little Rock, Sarah Habakowitz, THV11 News. And Faith, the National Rifle Association says it's already preparing legal action to challenge this rule in court.
All right, Sarah, now we will keep our eye on that, but for people who have this brace, what's next for them?
Yeah, Faith, so the rule, it hasn't been published yet. It's going to be published sometime this week in the Federal Register. And once that happens, owners will have 120 days to register that brace.